In May 1993, you were in the homicide squad in Newcastle.
That's correct.
Hypothetically, at that time, imagine this case with these circumstances lands on your desk.
If straight away, even the initial inquiries would indicate alarm bells.
My name's Glenn Taylor. I was a former New South Wales police officer, and then whilst I was here in Ballina, myself and an offsider, Detective Temby, we were approached by Andrew Reid, who is the natural brother of a missing person, Bronwyn Winfield, and Andrew and his wife Michelle asked us could we have a further look into the investigation. There was some very key circumstantial evidence that led us to the conclusion that Bronwyn had met with foul play. Virtually every person we spoke to said there's no way that Bronwyn would leave those children, and it was totally out of character for Bronwyn not to contact the children or have any further contact with them. According to John, they discussed their marriage, and according to him, she said that she wanted to have a break from the children, and she made some mysterious telephone call, and shortly thereafter, about 9:30 p.m, that's what he's saying, she walked out the front door, and he heard a car pull up, but he didn't check to see who was in the car. And that was the last time Bronwyn was ever seen. With our further inquiries, we established that Bronwyn had actually rang her solicitor after he arrived and said, "John's arrived at the house, what should I do?" And he said, "If you think there's going to be any problems or violence, ring the police immediately and I'll see you tomorrow morning."
Is it rare for you as a retired cop to be candidly critical of cops?
Well, I don't like, obviously if there's corruption, I'll be critical to the max, but it's just incompetence or laziness, and it's just extremely poor. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't openly like to criticise police, but reading what was done and having available the same evidence that when we looked at it, reinvestigated it, the same evidence that would have been available to Diskin and the other detectives involved, even if you're not 100% sure. I mean, your training is, if you're not 100% sure, still forensically examine. Not doing these things is critical. You have to be honest with yourself and say this was very poorly investigated at the time. So we had this inquest and it's the Deputy Senior State Coroner, Mr. Milanovic, and a very senior coroner, and he heard all the evidence, listened to the evidence and a lot of documents presented at the inquest, and he was clearly of the view, this is in, I believe, early 2003, that there was sufficient evidence capable for a jury to determine that a known person was guilty of Bronwyn's murder, and he recommended that the DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, lay a charge of murder against the known person. Unfortunately, that has never been done. I believe there was some further inquiries by an unsolved homicide team, but I'm not privy to all those inquiries. But unfortunately, here we are. We're almost 31 years after Bronwyn's disappearance, and there's been no justice for the family. Obviously, a lot of years, 20 years has now elapsed since I've got out of the police, and the matter's still, unfortunately, still unsolved, and family members have never had justice
regarding Bronwyn's disappearance.